Hello everyone, good morning. Can you guys can hear my voice?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's wait for another couple of minutes and then we will start. Yes, I think we will start. So good morning you all again. How are you guys doing?
Good morning. Fine, thank you.
Yeah. So I've seen some new peoples here who are for who are all it's a first classes. Who all are attending very first time. Okay. One. For all others it's hello. Only one new candidate. So I've seen most of the new names here. Mm-hmm. But was chatting. Okay. Two. Okay. So I'm asking so about for this my classes actually for my Python classes who all are interacting with me very first time. Okay. So I think what I know from the management, so some 6, 7 students are newly joined. Am I, if I'm not wrong? Yeah. So that's merged the classes. So that's why yeah we were going from the beginning actually. So that is the yeah good like that's the instruction which I got from the management. So that's why so again we are going with a scratch. So I'm just giving, I'm not going in depth on that because in our last previous sessions, it is not actually that actual coding things. So that's only the theoretical things and some installation part and the background. So very firstly, so I'll give my introduction for new peoples. So my name is Vikrant. So I'm working as a senior data scientist. So I had nearly 6+ years of experience in IT industry. So from day one, I started my career as a software engineer. So later on, I shifted into this data science domain. Now I'm sitting in senior data scientist position. Okay, so if I talk about my skill set, so I'm an Azure certified data scientist, and um, I know like MLOps, DevOps, Python development, PySpark. This Python and PySpark is my strong Python coding skills. And yes, so I'm worked on like so many data engineering project, data science projects, like data engineering projects in the sense, um, like Airflow, Kafka, Spark streaming, like developing of Spark streaming applications. So in machine learning model training, so data pipeline creation, model pipelines creations, and model training, model evaluation, and DevOps pipeline setup, so like Azure DevOps. So I worked on all these kinds of projects. Still, right now I'm working on some big data pipeline. So as of now, so when I come to this training experience, actually, so I have delivered nearly 10+ batches on this data science training. So from past 2 years, I'm doing this job. So I can say like I'm successfully delivered some 10+ batches. This is all my quick introduction. How are you guys feeling now? I hope it is good. Yeah, you can unmute yourself. You can talk. Okay, great. Then again, I'm asking the same questions for new joiners. So, do you guys have any idea about coding? Not only a Python, any other programming language?
Yes, sir. My name is Seshasri, and I have and I know Oracle. Like I worked on Oracle, and then currently working on PostgreSQL as a DBA, and I
Okay,
have 10+ years of experience.
okay. Now you wants to switch your career into the science field.
Yes, right.
Great. And I think some of us sent a chat. Yeah, you have experience on Python or Scala. That's nice. These are the programming language which it is needed for data science model training. Okay, machine learning model training. So, Saurabh, do you have any exposure on like data science, like model, machine learning model training, model evaluation, and all these things earlier? Because you said Python R. Okay. So, if you are using a Python and R, like on which domain you are using? Not that much. Then how much? Okay, data analyst. Nice. There you are. Like, I hope you are working as a data analyst. Okay, Harishri. I'm PHP developer and I have basic knowledge on Python. Okay, you also have Python basic knowledge. That's good. If you guys don't have any basic knowledge on the Python, don't worry. We are not expecting any basic knowledge or pure knowledge or any standing knowledge on the Python. So anyhow, we are starting our classes within a very scratch level. Okay, so we are just started from the scratch to expert level. Okay, then so let's get started. So I think I seen some of you saying like so you have some basic knowledge on Python. Could anyone explain why Python? If like from your own words, why
Py-
Python?
Python is a high-level language, so which
Mm-hmm.
is easily understandable to, like, not at least to the machines, at least. human beings.
Okay. Next. Okay,
It's like
Saurabh. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Python is much more faster as compared to other programming languages, and also like it has inbuilt libraries where we can import them to do like the data processing faster as compared to other programming languages. It's portable and easy.
Okay, you were talking about you have some Python had some good libraries, so we can use it, right, by using and by importing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then Saurabh said general purpose language, easy to learn, syntax is easy, very good, ML and AI libraries. Okay. Okay. Then any other answers? Okay. So when I asked why Python, why you guys want to learn Python. So if you are selected, if you choose this field, so you should to know why you are learning this Python. Why? Because very firstly, very high level programming language. High level programming language in the sense you can code this Python programming language in your wordings, in your day-to-day conversions. Okay. Let's say if you want to give some comments to Python, you can give in your own way. Okay, this is not requires any of the structural things, and so this is not actually structural programming kind of things. So if you know, if anybody aware of like Java or C or C++, there it requires some structural programming. So first you have to import the necessary things, and you have to declare the variables. Then you have to write a syntax for that. So it requires all of these things. But in the Python, whatever you want, you can just give the command to them. Let's say if you want to print any of the statement, you can just write a print function. Inside of the print function, you can give whatever you want, you can just print it. So in a second, you can achieve your goal in Python. So this is what we can call it in a very high level programming language. Second one is Python is an open source. Okay. So this is completely free for you all, for everybody. So it doesn't require any money. The software will not requires any money to use this Python. So because of this reason, in the market, we have a very huge library base for this Python. Okay. So library in the sense, any common functions, any common logics, which we make it as in a libraries, then we can use that as in a whenever it is needed in our scripts. So like that. So in the market, we have so many libraries that we can import it and we can reuse it instead of writing a logic from scratch to end, right? So let's say, for example, if you wants to sum 10 elements, so in that case, what we have to do, we have to take each and every elements, we have to sum it up. Like let's say we have a number 1 to 10. If I want to get a sum of all these 10 numbers, what we have to do, we have to add first two element, that is 1 plus 2, that is 3. Then we should add 3 plus 3, that is 6. Then 6 plus 4, that is 10. So like that, it's keep on adding the values, right? So for that, we should write a logic for that, like how we should add how we should add the next element or next argument and all. In that case, so this function, okay, this logic is already defined and already published in the market. We can simply use that function as it is. Instead of writing the logic, we can just call the sum function. Inside of that sum function, we can give the all the values which we want to get a sum out of that. Okay, we can just do in a single second itself. So that's why Python is on boom now. But and Python is not actually the very new language. This is evolved in the 1990s only. Okay, but now it becoming a trending programming language. Why? Because when data science is went up, so in that case, like machine learning algorithms can support only for few of the programming language, very few. So on that few languages, Python is one of that. Okay, so I'll tell what are the programming language which is supported to machine learning model development. Okay, if you really wants to write any of the algorithms, if that algorithm wants to support with some programming languages, so Python and R and SAS. Okay, these are the main three programming language which supports machine learning algorithms. Okay, so, like R is a programming language only. It is going to mostly dealing with numerical data. Okay, so this is not good in that text data or some images or some audio files and all. In these kinds of data set, this R programming is not good. Okay, from when compared to execution, all these things. But Python can handle this text data as well, video, audio. It can process any sort of data, any structural or unstructural or semi-structural data. But on another programming language, that is SAS. Okay, so SAS is a programming language that support machine learning algorithms and building a good statistics out of that. But it is a paid one. That is not an open source programming language. So still many of the organization using this SAS programming language, and they're paying high money for that. So that's why in the market we can see many of the migration projects as well, like SAS to Python migration. It means Python is doing the same job with the free of cost. So that's why they are switching their softwares to SAS to Python. So those are the one of the trending projects on the market nowadays. And it is very cost projects. Why? Because so it is not that much easy to convert that SAS tools to Python. Okay. Then another programming language we have, that is PySpark. So if you guys really want to learn the PySpark programming language, you should be thorough with Python programming language. Why I'm saying that? PySpark is not a different programming language. It is also a Python programming language that we are doing on that Spark clusters. Okay. So in this, throughout this data science journey, I'm your technical mentor and technical guide for Python and PySpark coding. Is that fine for you all?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is all some brief introduction about Python. If we talk about some technical over on Python, so let's say Python is an interpreted programming language. If you go to Java, so Java and Python is like somehow different categories. Okay, see, Python is an interpreted programming language. You can execute any line of code at any time without any compilation. But Java is a compiler programming language. If you really want to execute that line of code, you should compile it first, then you can execute it. So, but in the Python, you can directly go and execute any lines of code from your script if that line is not dependent on your previous scripts. If it is independent, then you can directly go and execute it. It doesn't require any of the compiling. Okay, so in that time, so it will what I can say, it will reduce the compiling time also. Okay, so it is quick, faster, more than compared to any other programming language. Okay, any questions so far? If you guys have any questions, feel free to open your mouth and ask that. Okay, no. Okay, for the reference, I just created some PPT on that. So I just shared my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
It's Vikrant.
Yeah, I hope some of you have already took a look on like some recording session of my previous classes. There also I shown the same kind of PPT for explaining background of this Python, right? How many of you have already watched that recordings? I'm asking for these new candidates. If you didn't get any recordings of my previous classes, please ask management. They will provide previous classes recordings also. Okay. So these are the points which you should know. So I'm already discussed about why simple language, what is interpreted, and object-oriented programming. So this word you guys can definitely add on the Java, because in Java also we have this OOPS concept, creating an object and you reusing that object whenever it is needed, right? The same kinds of thing we also have it, but there is no connection in between Java OOPS concept and Python OOPS concept. OOPS is nothing but an object-oriented programming. Okay, so it is just like creating in a class and method. So I'll just give an example in the later sessions, like how you can create a class, how you can create a method on Python. And again, I already told it is a open source. Because of this open source, we have used libraries and it is supported in the data science. Okay. And another point I want to extend here. So Python is an in-memory computations. In-memory computation means it doesn't require any assignment of data types. Okay. So let's say if you are provided an input as a numeric values, then Python is capable. Python has the capable to understand like it is a integer type. If you provided any string, let's say your names or gender or places or location, whatever it is, whatever the columns it is, that Python is able to understand that is a string column. Okay, it means Python internally it is going to assign with the right data type. So in that case, it is easily identify the types and going to execute it instead of you are going to provide a data type. But in other programming language, what you should do, you should declare your variables, means what is your input. So and you should declare your data type for that variable. Then you can call that variable and you can execute it. But in the Python, you can directly give your input. It is going to do necessary things. Why? Because it is in-memory computation. It is directly going to understand what is the type of that. If it is a string type, what are the operations can do? It is going to do that. If it is a numerical values, it is internally it is going to identify, yeah, it is an integer column. What are the types of operations which we can do? It is going to do that. It means, let's say, if it is an integer column, so what are the operations which we can do? We can do in a sum, we can do subtraction, we can do all the mathematical operations for the numerical values, right? You can do removing the leading zeros, like adding the leading zeros. So all these operations you can do in the integer column. When it comes to that string, let's say in the gender column or male column, what are the operations you can do? You can convert into uppercase or lowercase, or you can just remove the unwanted spaces over there, right? You can extract some substrings of that. So these are the operations you can do in string columns, right? So there is a difference between the integer and the strings. So some of the operations are very dedicated to that particular categories. So that Python can easily identify and easily can do that. So that's why we are call it as it is in-memory computation. One of the disadvantages for this on this in-memory computation is when it comes to the big data. So right, like if you have 1 million data, 2 million data, that's okay. But if you have any 10 millions of the data, 20 millions of the data, in that case, this in-memory computation will show some limitations of that. It means everything it is going to store it in its memory. In that case, it is slow down the performance, right? When your memory is going high, memory acquisition is high, then the performance in the it happens the same things. So if like let's say if your Python configuration is very low and if you are using any very big data, then it may affect the performance of the Python executions. Okay, so that's why only for the big data we are introducing the PySpark programming language. So I will tell why it is reducing, why it is overcome the problem of big data from PySpark. Okay, when I come to that PySpark session, I'm going to explain there only. I don't want to mess up with all of these things. So just you should understand why Python. So these are the reasons to use Python in our day-to-day life. Any questions so far? Yes, Saurabh. You pinged S. Do you have any questions? Okay. Then yeah, guys, please feel free to ask any questions, or if you are struck with any point, any stages, feel free to stop me at the point only. Okay.
Yes, Vikrant, I have one question regarding the interpreted. So how will you execute internally in interpreted, how will you take the third party code and how will you execute that one internally? So when we
That's
are using the third party libraries, so internally how will you execute third party code into Python language?
if I'm not wrong. So you were asking about how the third-party libraries are going to execute without any compiling, right?
Yeah, without any compiling. I think interpreter is the part of that executing the third party code, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Can you explain
yeah,
in detail about interpret internally how will you execute third party code?
yeah, because I explained why it is. So Python is an in-memory computations, right? Everything is going in its memory only. It doesn't require any of the data type assignment. It doesn't require any compiler things on the backend. Everything is going like doing in its backend only, in its memory only. So let's say if you are going to import any of the third-party libraries, let's say NumPy. If you want to create any of the array and all, you are going to create a NumPy. So in the NumPy, NumPy is written in a different programming language. Let's say in the C or C++. So
Yes.
so everything is depends on that library only. So like they are going to write a program in such a way that should support for Python compiling things. So in the Python compiler, it is running in the back end only. It is not going to show up on the front end. So it doesn't require any of the compiling things. You can directly it can directly write your code and you can execute it. So NumPy is written in C and C++. That's why that NumPy performance is more. So if it is writing in the C or C++ means, so we should know C or C++. No, we don't. It is not required. So compiling things is written in a different programming language. But here we are not going to execute that. That is written and developed in its data source only. But they are made it to use here only.
Okay, developing data source, I understood that one, but how will take considering that if suppose like let's example in C++ data types is different, that syntax is completely different. How will understanding the Python language to the when we're integrated the C and NumPy library, suppose that is implemented in the C language, right? So that C language code, how will like understanding the Python language internally?
So like if it is written in the C language, means it is not completely written in the C language. So that compiler things is written in a different programming language. But again, that NumPy is developed within a Python programming only. But in the backend, so backend execution and backend command is given by the C programming language for the NumPy only. But if it comes to any other program, another libraries like Pandas, Matplotlib, so these libraries are completely written in the Python only. This execution and like in the backend part. So I'm just said like how some of the libraries are doing the compilation things on the backend. So NumPy is one of the good example that is written in the backend. It is written within NumPy. So Python also had some set of specific data types like string type, integer type. Right, these are the basic two. Like another one is complex data type. So I'll explain what are the data types available with the Python when it comes to like actual coding session. But by default, it is going to it have the capability to identify what is the data type of that. So everything is in its memory. So that is actually the one of the good advantages and one of the bad as well when it comes to the big data.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why Python is like in a different programming language. So it is not required much from the user. It requires very less from the user, and it is going to give a much to user. They answered your question?
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So these are some motivation points to learn, like why to learn Python. And next thing which I explained in our previous classes, Python IDs. Python IDs is, so once you are aware of, once you get a good understanding of why should we use Python, after that, it would like some of the points directly comes into our mind, how to write a code, where to write a code. So we need some platforms, right, to write some of the codes. So if you search on the Google or market, so you will find one good software, that is Anaconda. So with this Anaconda software, you guys can write your Python code. So Anaconda will provide a multiple softwares to write your Python coding. So one is Jupyter Notebook, another one is VS Code, and third one is Spider. So you may also find some different softwares to code the Python, but I'll recommend these are the three very good softwares to use to write a Python code. Okay, so I'll just explain Jupyter Notebook, VS Code, Spider, like how we can use it and all those things. And if you guys already have some recordings of my previous classes, you can just watch it out. So I'll just give in a quick recap of how to install Anaconda prompt, how to use this Jupyter Notebook, VS Code, and Spider. If you guys feels like it is going very fast, because we are already done with these things, you can watch the recordings. Otherwise, if you got any questions on that time, you can just directly stop me and you can just ask the questions. Okay. So to like, how many of you are aware of Anaconda actually? Who all have some basic knowledge on Python? Okay. So to install this Anaconda prompt, I just created some small beginner guide to install, like how to install this Anaconda. So that's just a manual to install Anaconda Windows. So I'll just share this document on the Telegram channel. So who are not joined the Telegram channel, you can just join there and you can get my notes, documents, and everything there. So very first step, click on this download Anaconda installer. Okay, it will directly take you to that particular web page. Just go here. You can find some other versions as well, like paid version as well. But I'm recommending you guys needs to download free download as it is. So no need of a paid version. You can just click on that free download. Once you click on the free download, you can see that three versions. So this Anaconda is supporting for three kinds of operating system. One is Windows and Mac, like, and another one is Linux. So you can just select, so whatever the OS you are going to use. So by default, it is selected in a Windows. I'm also using in a Windows. So if you are also using Windows, you can just click on this download button. So this is automatically get started. Okay, so I'm already installed in my local system. I don't want to download it. Once you downloaded that, so here I'm given some of other steps to use. You should be aware. In the second step, you can see if you really want to know the pricing details, you can check that as well. And you can just click on that free download and download your free versions. Okay. Then once you download it, you can just execute that executable files, exe files. So once you agree the license, it will take you through this configuration. If you really want to go with just me option or all users options based on your priority, right? So I will just recommend you guys needs to use this all users. Otherwise, if you go with just me, then it will ask the admin permissions again and again when you are going to use it. But it's just we are just going within a learning, right? You can still go with all users if you really want some what we can say, security. If you really want to maintain some security and privacy, then you can go with just me option and click on that next. Then the next step would be where you want to stay, where you want to save all the executable files, because so this will require 4.7 GB of space from your system. So where you like in which folder on which drive you have space, you can just select that drive and you can just click on that next button. And then another one is, so these three checkbox, if you really want all these three options, three characteristics, three features, you can still go with all these three checkbox. Otherwise you can just skip any of these three. Okay, but you should check these two compulsory. So creating a start menu shortcut, it is up to you. If you really want this Anaconda to your desktop window, you can just click this checkbox as well, and then press final button install. Once you press install button, it will ask for the next and just finish it off. Okay, so this is a very smooth guide to install this Anaconda to your local system. Okay, any questions so far?
Just one question, Vikrant. So this is like an IDE only, like we have that Visual Studio. Am I correct?
This is just a software. Like I'll just give a comparison, like Play Stores in your mobile. Okay, so your Play Stores have multiple applications, right? Whatever
Yeah.
the applications you want, you can just install it. This is also the same kind of things. Anaconda is available within multiple softwares with built-in download of Python. So once you download
Okay.
this Anaconda, you no need to install this Python explicitly.
Okay.
Yeah. Once you downloaded this Anaconda, okay, you can just go on start menu and you can just type Anaconda over just Anaconda. You can just type. You can see two kinds of Anaconda here. One is navigator and another one is prompt. So as I told in the very earlier also, Anaconda is available within two phases. One is UI phase, that is user interface, and then another one is in a prompt phase. Prompt is nothing but your CLI. It's like in a CLI only, but Anaconda is also have their own CLI environment. Okay, so you can give a command to Anaconda from UI as well, and as well as from the prompt. Okay, so I'll just show like how that UI looks. Okay, I'll just click on here. Once you clicked on there, just wait for a second, wait for some seconds. Okay, don't close it all the windows. Don't close all these windows. Just wait for that. It's just initializing. Be patient. See, now this Anaconda Navigator is open. This is the UI of Anaconda. So here you can see multiple applications over here on this Anaconda. Let's say you can see data spell, command, and Jupyter Lab, notebook, and PowerShell, and VS Code, Spider, Datalore, Watson, many more applications. Okay, so whichever the applications which you want to try, you can select it and you can use it. Okay, so in these sessions we are going to use Jupyter Notebook, Lab, VS Code, and Spider. So if you guys can't see the launch button, instead of launch, if you are seeing install button, just press that install button and install it in your Anaconda. Okay, and here we have some environment and learning and community guidelines as well. So environment, so Anaconda is available within a base environment. Basically, if you really want to create your own environment for your own project, it is your call to create. You can just click on that create and install the necessary things in your particular environment and do the development. But very basically, Anaconda also gives some base environment, that is root environment, default environment. Okay, whatever the third-party libraries are you are going to install, that are going to save it in your root environment. Otherwise, if you really wants to install all of other required things in your new environment, you can just create new environment and you can use it. So just I created a 2 environment, that is attempt and a test environment. That's it. And learning, if you really want to learn anything from Anaconda, these are the guides. These are some good documents over here, like Python tutorial also, you can see it over here. So in your free time, you can check it. And community. So Anaconda also had some good community with different platforms. Okay, so here you can see that, right? This is how UI looks like. So any questions so far? Yeah. This is Anaconda UI. So we should see another UI also, right? Again, I'm going to search Anaconda prompt. See, this looks as it is your CLI. So with the CLI, you can see this base as well. What is this means? What it means? Base. Why it is coming like this? Can anyone have any idea on that? This is actually your environment name, right? So here you can see what is the base environment, what is the default environment, that is base. So that environment name is appear over here. If you have created any new environment, so if you are activated that environment as well, so that environment names will comes here, okay, in the very beginning of that root path. Okay, you can give all your CLI comments as well here. So as I told, Python is already installed in Anaconda. You no need to install this Python explicitly, right? So if you really want to check whether this Python is there in your system or not, just type Python from your CLI, just press enter. Once you press enter, you guys can see Python version and everything over, like all the basic information of the license. Okay, and the root directory turns into Python CLI. So here you can execute all the Python, like some lines of Python codes. How we can execute it? Let's say if I want to print some statement. So if I want to print some statement from the Python, I can use print function. Inside of print function, we can provide any of the text like welcome you all. Okay, so let me execute this line of code. I'm just pressing a enter button. See, welcome you all. This line of code is printed. This is how you can check from your CLI, sorry, Anaconda prompt. Okay, if you really come out, if you want to come out from this Python environment to Anaconda prompt, you can just type exit function, pressing enter. C. Now I came back to this Anaconda prompt. This is how it works, this too. So you can open some Jupyter Notebook, VS Code from CLI as well, from this Anaconda as well, and Anaconda Navigator as it is. So it is actually the manual. If you go to home and launch your softwares from here, it is a manual. And by using to do the same things from CLI, it is just like an commanding. So that's actually the smart one which you should follow. Instead of going with a manual and opening this navigator, it is not good. Instead of doing this, you can just open this Anaconda navigator, Anaconda prompt, and you can just type, you can just open that Jupyter Notebook or VS Code. Okay. Next thing is how to open this Jupyter Notebook from the Anaconda prompt. So here you can easily go and launch it. But how we can do it in that prompt? So you can just open that and just type Jupyter space notebook. That's it. Just press enter. That Jupyter Notebook server is getting started. That server is loading. Yes. So it is directly open in your default web browser. Okay. So this Edge is my default web browser. There it is opened. Okay, if not opened automatically, what you should do, you can just go there on the prompt, just copy this link and paste it on your favorite favorite web browser. Okay, this is how you can open it. And another caution would be, don't close this terminal unless and until you are going to done with your work from the Jupyter Notebook. Once you close this terminal, what happened? Your kernel, your server is lost and Jupyter Notebook or Jupyter Lab getting closed. Okay, see here, I'm just pressing in a Control C here. I'm just closing that server. Why it is not closing? Okay, I'm terminating directly. See, I'm just closed that server. So let's see. See, we lost that connection. So, so unless and until you are going to done with your work, so don't close the terminal. Okay, this is one of the caution which you should maintain. So, and if you really wants to use Anaconda from another Anaconda prompt for another use, you can open multiple prompts over here. So it is not restricted to use only one prompt. You can create multiple prompts and you can use it. Any questions so far? Okay, this is how you can open the Jupyter Notebook. How to open that VS Code from your prompt? Just again, you can just type Anaconda prompt, and if you really want to do any coding with particular folder, you can just create a folder like KDR VS Code tutorials. Okay, I just created a folder. I'm just changing the directory to VS Code tutorial. See, I'm in VS Code tutorial folder. So here I want to open my VS Code. How to open it? You can just type code space dot. That's it. VS Code is also automatically opened. You can just click on this checkbox and you can press yes, I trust the author. See, this is how VS Code looks. So VS Code tutorial, this is the folder which we opened. Okay, here you can create multiple Python, multiple files, and you can just code it. So yes, this is how it works. And if you really wants to run your Python code in VS Code itself, you can just directly go extensions, and there you can type should install this Python explicitly. Okay, Anaconda shell, both are different. In this case, it needs installation, this Python installation. Okay, so now I already installed Hello, can you guys hear my voice?
Yeah, now we are able to hear you.
Yeah, it was breaking for last 2-3 minutes at least. Yeah, when you were at that Python, yeah, there it was breaking, the Python extension, yeah. Can you hear us, Vikram?
Sorry, I'm speaking on mute.
Yeah,
Yep.
now we can hear you. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you were at this, Python extension. So we have to install this.
Yes, in your VS Code, like very first job you should do is once you open the VS Code, just go in this here extensions and just type for Python. You can just select it and just do installation. Okay. Once you install that, you need to test it, right? Whether that installation is successful or not. Just go to three dots and go terminal and create a new terminal for that. And just type Python again. That's it. So you should get your Python versions and license details. So if you get this thing, if you get this message, it means you have successfully installed the requirements in the VS Code. Is that good? Yes, this all about today. So today we discussed about background of your guide and background of Python, and as well as like how to install this Anaconda and what are the why we should learn Python, and how we can open this Jupyter notebook and the VS Code from the Anaconda prompts. Okay, so in the next session, so we are left with one other software, that is Spider. So I wanted to show that Spider also, like how it looks. So along with that, I should show like how we can work with Jupyter Notebook, VS Code, and Spider. That actually in our previous classes also we are covered, like what are the options available, what are the things we should to know, we should keep in mind. That I have already discussed. Again, I don't have any problems to explain all of these things again. But in your free time, feel free to watch the recordings as well, and then in our day-to-day, anyhow, the day-to-day, we are going to do the coding in these softwares only. I'll just explain what are the options available with those softwares. Will that be okay? Yes, then that's all for today. If you guys still have any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, if you have still the question, then you can ask it for tomorrow first off also. Okay, then if you don't have any questions, have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.